Okay, so we're all swimming in this massive ocean of digital information, right? But have you ever stopped to think about how it's all organized? I mean, how does it all work? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and break down the three fundamental ways data is structured. This is basically the architecture of your entire digital life.
Think about this for a second. Why does a neat, tidy spreadsheet feel like it's from a completely different planet than the chaotic, constantly updating stream of your social media feed? It's all data, right? But they feel totally different. The answer to that question is all about structure.
So to really get that, we have to start by understanding how our digital world is organized. We're going to walk through these different data structures, from the most rigid and orderly to the most free-form and wild. You're about to see the very backbone of the digital landscape.
All right, let's kick things off with the super organized one, structured data. The best way to think about this is like a perfectly labeled, meticulously organized filing cabinet. You know, where absolutely everything has its own specific spot. Now, the key phrase here is fixed schema. All that means is that the structure is decided ahead of time. Every single piece of data has to follow the same rules, fitting perfectly into tables with rows and columns. Yeah, just like that spreadsheet. This is the world of traditional databases, the kind that have been the workhorses for banks and big businesses for decades.
And here's where the real magic happens. These tables can actually talk to each other. See that Dept ID column? It's in both tables. That's the secret link. So the top table tells us an employee has a Dept ID of 2. We just look up that ID in the bottom table and boom, we instantly know they work in marketing and they're located in the USA. It's such a simple idea, but it's an incredibly powerful and efficient system.
So you can see the benefits, right? It's super consistent, it's reliable, and it's incredibly easy to search and analyze. But there is a trade-off. That rigidity means it can't really adapt to new or unexpected kinds of information very easily, and you have to do a ton of planning up front to get that structure just right. But what happens when that super rigid filing cabinet is just too restrictive? Well, that's when we enter the world of semi-structured data. This is the flexible middle ground. Think of it less like a filing cabinet and more like a box of old photos, where each picture has a handy little tag on the back explaining what it is. You see, the problem with a totally fixed structure is that not all information is created equal. If you have a column in your table for, say, a phone number, but you don't have a phone number for someone, you just end up with a lot of wasted, empty space. Just look at this example. We've got two customers here. The first one gave us their phone number, but not their address. The second one gave us an address, but no phone number. In a structured table, we're forced to have columns for both, and that leaves us with these awkward, inefficient, empty cells. It's just clunky.
And this is the brilliant solution, using a format called JSON. Look closely here. Instead of a rigid table, we have two flexible records. Notice something? There are no empty fields. The first customer record only has a phone underscore number because that's all the info we got. The second one only has an address. The system adapts to the data we have, not the other way around. It's an incredibly versatile way to do things.
So here's the crucial point. Semi-structured data isn't a total free-for-all. It's not complete chaos. It might not fit into those neat little tables, but it has these organizational properties, like tags or labels, that give it context and make it so much more useful than just a random pile of information. Let's break this down real quick. Think of it like you have a label maker. The key is the label you make, like name or city. The value is the actual info you stick the label on, like John Doe or New York. The curly braces just group these pairs together into one record, or object. And if you see square brackets, that just means you have a list of things. It's a really simple but powerful way to stay organized without being stuck in a rigid table. And you know, this flexibility is its superpower. It really strikes a perfect balance, letting you handle a huge variety of information while still keeping things manageable. It's also incredibly scalable, which means it can grow to handle massive, complex data sets. And that is exactly why it's the engine running things like your social media feeds and endless server logs. Okay, and that brings us to our final category, the Wild West of data, unstructured data. If structured data is that perfect filing cabinet, unstructured data is a giant shoebox that you've just stuffed with old photos, letters, ticket stubs, and random receipts. There is absolutely no built-in organization at all. This is information that has no predefined model, no organization whatsoever. We're talking about the raw stuff, the actual pixels in a photo, the sound waves in an audio file, or the frames in a video. And get this, it makes up the vast majority of all the data in our world. Now, here is a really important distinction to make.
A single file can actually contain multiple types of data. Take this file, image.jpg. The file name itself, or metadata, like the date it was created, that's actually semi-structured. It's data about the data. But the core content, the raw pixel information that actually forms the picture you see, that part is completely unstructured.
So after all that, which one is the best? Well, that's actually the wrong question to ask. The real key here is to understand that each type is just a different tool in the toolbox. You just need to know which one is the right tool for the job.
And this little cheat sheet really sums it all up perfectly. You can see that trade-off so clearly. Structured data gives you incredible reliability for things like financial records, but you give up flexibility. Unstructured data gives you total flexibility for things like media files, but it's way harder to analyze. And then you've got semi-structured, sitting right in that powerful sweet spot, balancing both worlds, for things like, you guessed it, social media.
So, we've gone on a journey from rigid tables to flexible tags, all the way to the raw, wild data that makes up our world. Each of these structures was invented to solve a specific problem. And that leads us to a final, pretty big question. As our world and the information in it get even more complex, what comes next? What new structures will we need to invent to make sense of it all? That's the next chapter in this story. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.